to trust the process. Okay. Uh, it shows it's four of us in here right now. So me, 115363, and I see that Soso's here. Um, Soso, do you think it's possible to maybe reboot your computer? Hi, Phyllis. How are you? I was trying to get Soso in here. It was showing. You said you're on your phone. Okay. Well, I'm not sure why it's not connecting because I cancel and reconnect. I'll try it again. Um, do you put? Well, do you possibly have another device you can use? Just saying. Sometimes you have, sometimes you don't. We'll see. We're not gonna give up. Hey Soso, what's up? I just can't hear you. It's okay. At least you're here. We just can't hear you. It's all good, no worries. Don't stress. I don't know sign language either. Okay. But that's okay. I didn't mean that as any disrespect, okay, to anybody. It was just, you know, it shows your internet connection is unstable. It's okay. It's all right. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for joining. Hello, Constance. Hello, Ellen Ruth. Ellen Roth. I'm sorry. My apologies for that. I'll try to get Soso back. Okay. We all have internet issues sometime, such as life, but it's not going to stop us from communicating today. Okay. I'm very glad to see you all today. And Soso and I we had to reschedule last week. We're not stressing. It's all good. We just take a deep breath. We know that everything happens when it's supposed to. Not necessarily when we want it, right? But when it's supposed to. So what Soso and I were going to talk about today, I want to be respectful of your time. Okay. And let's see. Okay. We have difficulties, right? And just at the edge of that difficulty, that's when things start to happen. If we just take a breath and we just wait patiently, because I know many of us been in this situation where we want things to happen like right now. Things don't always go that way. A lot of things don't go that way. So what we have to do is we have to take a pause, we have to take a breath, and we have to just like release all the things that we have no control over. Like we have no control over whether when or where so can get in here or not. Okay, we just trust the process, and when she comes, she comes. So in the meantime, we're going to be talking about openness to the world. Okay, and here we are. Okay, we see you, but we don't hear you. I can't hear you. Can you guys? Can can you guys hear Soso? I just want to make sure because if you guys hear her, then you're talking. Yeah, I hear you talking. Yes, I just can't hear you. Um, it's okay. We can see you. That's a start. Okay. So now, if we just connect the sound, we'll be good. Okay. We're not stressing. We were talking. I was telling them that we're going to be talking about the openness to the world. Okay. And I noticed that myself, I had to become more open in general. because of the abuse that I have suffered, okay, from my childhood, and the dysfunction that I've experienced
Hello?
at the workplace. There you go. All right. Okay. See, it's just patience. That's it. Okay.
Okay. So you can hear me?
Yes, and
Okay.
see you.
I don't want to interrupt you, but go ahead because I think you were on a good strain of thought. But I'm really happy you can hear me and see me, which is really bizarre because I was able to both hear you and see you. So, hi, Michelle. Hi, everyone. Do other people hear me? Oh, yes. Okay, great. So,
Okay, at the bottom it shows I'm still waiting for you. I'm not going to touch that button. Let it keep spinning. As long as we can see you and hear you, I give less than a crap about that thing down
all
there.
right. All right. I'm going to put in my chat as well on my computer so I can see what people are saying. I like that because on
Okay.
my phone it's just too small. Um,
Okay, it's all good, but I want you to introduce yourself though, really, because I know you're in Soso and you live in Canada. I don't really know a whole lot about you, and I don't know everybody here. They may know more about you than I do. So why don't you start there?
oh, that's a good. Wait, that's. You know I'm just like surprised because, well, first, let me thank you. We've been on what, maybe two or three lives together already, but isn't that like the first time that we actually take the time to discuss who we are? Like, I'm just, I always end up like right into the process, and then I'm like, wait, who am I? Like, besides Substack, like what we're trying to share here or present, or yeah. Well, I my real name is Sonia, so I'm French Canadian, and Soso is my nickname. Always been since I was young. And I could tell you my life in a whole novel. Like I mean, I could write a series or novel, such as I'm sure you could too. But yeah, where could I start? I've been on Substack for about a year. And I am still trying to find my voice, I guess, but I'm getting there, I think. My voice being, what do I want to do on Substack? Why is it important? Hi, Constance from Toronto. And Yeah, I tend to get distracted too because I'm an hyperactive person. And sometimes my brain just goes in all directions. Don't have ADHD because I can focus, but depending on the day, because I also have fibromyalgia and I do a podcast since it's been about the beginning of September, I think, with Nick Perro, Stephanie Wilson, and Beth Cruz, where we discuss chronic illnesses because we're all the three of us. Anyways, we all have chronic illnesses, and Margaret and I have actually connected over complex PTSD because yes, we have had. Um, I mean, we have had it's
Hey,
such a small yeah.
it's not a
Whoa.
secret. It's not a secret. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But honestly, I'm really happy to be here with you because you're gonna hear my cat. I have four cats. So right now she's having a crisis because she's not with me. So we'll see if she comes down. I might have to let her in. It's the oldest. So yeah, I'm an animal lover. I'm a human lover because I have a master's in psychology, and haven't worked in that field for a long time. I did my studies, then I worked for about 7 to 8 years, and well, now I know because of CPTSD, which is complex post traumatic stress disorder, that affects your emotional regulation and also the way you relate to the world, I could say. uh, I had a lot of anxiety and self-esteem issues related to the job, and anyways. So yeah, you go into psychology because you're trying to basically self yourself, I guess, save yourself. But it did help me a lot. It did. So oh, hi, Patrick. Yeah,
I just
so I guess that's a start. And yes, I can let the cat in unless she starts biting me because she is emotionally dependent. See, that's what I do to people. I create emotional. I'm just kidding. So,
that's why you set that's why you set boundaries.
yeah, I try. Yeah, you, yeah, yeah. Okay,
She
but
she bites you because she wants your full attention.
absolutely. Come, yeah, Bella. So, yeah, but setting boundaries is a topic I could discuss for hours. So, so are my two dogs. They stick like glue. So, yeah, Bella is the Bengal cat. So she has almost like a dog-like personality. And yeah, now she's gonna go see the window. I'll let her be because then sure she'll find attention later. So, um, I guess being interested in human connections is a start, you know, because yeah, openness to the world comes with an interest for humans. So that's why I studied social science as well. What else? What else? What else? What else? See, I have a hard time talking about myself right now. I'm like, whoa, wait, you me la
You know
vie.
why? Because you know why? Because you're too focused on other people and trying to save the world. Okay? And we most of us, we do that. We put ourselves last. And by the end of the day, we are so exhausted. What do we have left for ourselves?
Mm, and you're absolutely right. It's kind of like logically because you've learned it to say that to yourself, but to actually practice. Hey, hey, it's the friend. No, sorry, she's well. That's a good start. Okay, if she continues, I'll set more boundaries and I'll ask her to wait. But this is Bella. She's 8 years old. Look, this is
She got
Margaret.
she got what she wanted. She's cool.
Yeah, and so I should show you my mug though. So an animal lover needs those kind of mug. Have you ever had too many cats? Me neither.
Personally, I'm a dog lover, but to each their own. I've had
Yeah.
cats, you know, it's all good.
Do you
No
have a
problem.
dog, Margaret?
Yes, yes, I have two dogs. Yes.
And are they a
Yes.
special breed or just like domestic dog, regular?
Just regular dogs. I have a Great Pyrenees and I have a golden retriever.
Whoa! Well, those are breeds like
Yes,
Great Pyrenees.
yes.
Like the whole that the really nice, super like fluffy white dog. Oh, that was one of my friend's best favorites dog. Like she had like two. They're huge.
Yeah, right. And I have a hard time holding him when I go outside. So it's like, okay, I should have left him out there where he could herd the sheep. Okay. I don't really need to be herded because when you don't move fast enough, he will bite you in the crack of your butt to get you moving in the right direction.
No way. He's not supposed to do
Yes.
that.
I think that's a part of the breed's the instinct. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with sheep and you want them to go a certain way, okay?
Absolutely. You not like well either nudge them or
Absolutely. Think
wow.
about it. We can learn a lot from animals and how to even utilize that in our daily life. Like, okay, you're trying to get people to do something or whatever. Your pet shows you exactly what to do. You can
Mm,
get things from people in a nice way, or you can nudge them in other ways. Think about
mm,
it.
mm. Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Animal observation and getting in I mean getting animals was so important for me when I was little and it is I mean, you can tell me about what you think, but I grew up with a father who was a hunter and a fisherman, like like by choice, like he loved doing it, like for him, it was just, I don't know, like, I don't know. Anyways, but so I loved animals. So can you imagine when you're raising baby rabbits at the end of at the beginning of the spring, and then at the end, like around somewhere in the fall, then first he doesn't tell you, and you might up either like he sells them, or you end up like eating. But so anyway, it kind of, I have this memory of pictures of me like playing with the little bunnies, and I'm like, no way. Like for me, it was so clear from the start that an animal was like, yes. See, I mean, they're human, not human. Sorry, they're living beings, not human, but they do have a lot of emotional, um, the same behavior,
Needs,
the same needs.
needs,
Yes, exactly. So
wants,
it's
desires.
let's see. Bengal cats are very vocal too. So it's not just like they'll come and they sit on your lap and they'll look at you. I mean, she'll be like, "Give me attention."
She wants you to go where she wants you to go. She don't want to
How
come
do
over
you know
there.
that? She's standing by the door and she's like, "Come on,
She
come
said,
on, come
"Come."
on."
Exactly. You have to be able to read their minds. Seriously, I'm just empathic. Okay, so understand.
Okay, I'll grab her and we'll see what she says. All right, come down.
Honestly, honestly, I think I can relate better to animals than people. Because when you think,
Well, you're
sometimes
not
you
the
think,
first person I've heard say that. You're not the first person I've heard say that. And yeah, and if I can say hello again to the 18 people in the chat, happy to see you all. I think I'm seeing some names that I don't know. So don't hesitate to interact in the chat. I know we are talking together, Margaret and I, but I think it's so interesting to be here on Substack because it allows to yeah, exchange and connect. That's it.
exactly. We can talk about any topic. Okay, yeah, going back to the pets. I understand pets better than I do people because pets most time are predictable. Just when you think you have a person figured out, especially women, for example, because we are hormonal, and our moods change depending on our cycle and the things like that. So in the morning you come, we might be sweet and loving. In the afternoon, we might cut your throat. In the evenings, and like some, so it's like you don't know what you getting, And like when I was a kid, I would always try to dictate what mood my father what mood my father was going to be in because he was a narcissist and I think he was bipolar. So I would always try to determine what mood he's going to be in to figure out which role I had to play at
Oh
that
my
time to
God.
keep myself safe, right? That's what we talking about complex PTSD. But I couldn't understand what he went through the day to understand what type of person he was going to come home as. So I would just have to, fly by the seat of my pants. But
I
sometimes you can.
absolutely understand. I think this is something that well, it's not, I think I know we've started discussing this before. And I kind of, I know my father had similar issues. I don't know if he was a narcissist in his case. I just felt like he just had an emotional like control problem. Like he just couldn't manage his emotions and his impulses. And yeah, I feel like I was the same as you. My typical reaction was fawning, like kind of like always gonna try to prevent, like you say, you're trying to you become very observant and hyper vigilant. You're trying to like find out, okay, what is he, that's when people usually to end up like really noticing, like people will be like, oh, I can read a room, or you really learn to read nonverbal cues and verbal as well, or lies, or uh yeah.
Most times I knew when people was lying, him, anybody else. But I don't let on. I smile, I act the same. Because if they know that then you could put yourself at even further risk. So you just go along with the story and act like, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you're like, what the hell did I get myself into and how the hell I get out of it?
Oh yeah.
Without them knowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So it was
Absolutely.
so every room you go into, I go in, I'm reading the temperature. I don't give a damn who's in there. I'm reading the temperature. So I know, do I feel safe enough to go in this room?
Mm,
And where are the exits? So if something breaks out, I can get out. Okay. That's why I always sit near the door.
mm.
Okay. And I don't want my back facing the door. So if somebody come in with something, I want to be able to see so I can get out safely.
So, but
Okay.
that imagine if you're an adult and that is still the case. I mean, that is it's really impacted, the way that you connect to the world, basically, because our world is
Yes.
our environment. Also, it's not just what we think and process, but like, yeah, and people, maybe that they don't necessarily know about CPTSD, but it is. I think you have to picture yourself in a situation where you are exposed to long, long periods of stress and you cannot escape them. And it's over not just months, it's over years. So it's usually you're stuck in a relationship with a family member or a significant other. um I should say more a family member, because you didn't choose them. They're kind of like they're in your life and they're there. So um yeah, so it's not like, oh, I'm choosing to adopt this cat, who's just like trying to bite me right now because she's so like lovey-dovey. And that's what I call feral love. She's like, but I'm gonna send her back and hopefully she'll calm down, so we'll see. uh
Maybe she was abandoned as a baby. And so that's why she's clingy. I know I was abandoned as a baby and I was codependent as fuck. I'm
oh
just gonna
my
call it like
god.
it was. I was
No.
very codependent. I was very codependent because I was abandoned. Okay, I would cling on to you for dear life, just like that cat. And I learned that I had to stand on my own 2 feet because I was hurting myself. Okay,
But that
we
is
can't
so
get,
sad.
we can't find love, respecting all these things until we find it within ourselves. Once we learn to love ourselves, respect ourselves, okay, then we can reach out to the love that we seek from others. Okay, I didn't realize that at first. How could I? I didn't have nobody to love me. I had nobody to show me and to teach me. So I feel like I was a wolf. I mean, in, in the pasture and raised by wolves. I might as well have been. I think I would have been better off being raised by wolves. I would have been safer. At least I would have had a pack to be there for me, to support me. I didn't
Yeah.
have nothing. And so I had to cut my family off once I realized why I didn't love myself. Okay? Because of them putting all this demonic things into my brains and telling me I'm not nothing, I'm never going to be nothing, I'm crazy, and all of these things which I would never was.
It's really it's tragic to be in situations where you have to um, basically endure, yeah, endure that kind of abuse, basically. I mean, it's
Yes,
psychological abuse, it's
it is
physical abuse.
psychological, mental, emotional, in every way possible.
Yeah.
Okay? And parents send out all these people like that, all these damaged people, and that's why these organizations are the way they are. Okay, they bring all this
Organization.
toxicity. Yeah, the organizations that you end up working for, all these people get hired and these people become your bosses, and then they're undermining you, and so they're passing on all of this toxicity in the in the leadership roles they become a part of, the organizations they become a part of, and the world in general. Look at our political system. It's filled with the same crap that we're talking about.
Oh, I
So
mean, and it's
we
big, right? It's
it is.
huge. It's
It is.
having an
And
impact on everyone. Like,
you know why? Because we putting all this stuff under the rug. We like, oh, we don't want to deal with this, so we just gonna push it under the rug. Push all the dirt and all that crap under the rug. But the residue is still there.
mm,
Okay.
it is. It is. It's just it's like putting on a band-aid, right? Band-aid, like a
Yes.
plaster,
Yes.
or it's called in English.
Yeah. Yeah. You put a band-aid on it, but you need to rip that band-aid off. You need to get all the poison out. When you get a rattlesnake bite, you got to get all that poison and everything out, because it's going to go through your system. Eventually, you're going to die.
Mm,
You got to cut it out. Then you got to burn it. Then they burn it, and so it can heal after that. But you got to get rid of it, because it's just like cancer. It's just eating you alive.
mm. And I am I am just thinking of the way that people survive in the wilderness, like, and if you end up like seeing a snake and then it bites you like you describe, and and that's the thing, sometimes you don't, with the snakes, you don't know that they are venomous. Is that the word? Like, when it's poison, some of them will bite you and they don't have poison, but some will have poison. So anyways, so it's kind of like that, if you're living with a parent that's supposed to be taking care of you, and who does, but doesn't necessarily do it in a good way, because they haven't learned themselves how to do it. And then they end up like hurting you more than they're raising you. It is poison. So hi, Brendan. And Stephanie. I forgot to say hi to Stephanie. Happy to have you guys here. So um, so yeah. I would say that connecting yourself to the world, just to think on the topic, is to actually first, like you said, connect yourself to yourself. I mean, and how do you do that when you dissociate? Like that's tough. Like, a lot of people will end up just, you know, um, fleeing those difficult emotion by either, uh, yeah, putting things under the rug, pretending they're not there. Uh, yeah. Thank you,
And we
Stephanie.
So what we do is we hold all of these things in, and a lot of times they do turn into chronic illnesses, because we haven't dealt with all the trauma that we're still carrying around, and then we're wondering why we're not feeling well. But mind, body, spirit, we're all connected to the universe. So
Mm,
if your mind is not right, it's going to affect other parts of your body and other parts of your mind.
mm,
Okay, and
mm,
so we have to understand that as human beings, that what we experience, we also project into the world through our
mhm,
conversations with other people.
mm,
Okay. and and,
mm,
and how we see ourselves is not necessarily how others see us. They can see things that we can't see.
mm,
Okay, and that's why another reason why it's good having these connections, because the person say, I this is what I got from you today. Okay, we have to be brave enough to tell somebody, I feel something wrong. And if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But this is what I'm seeing. And
mhm,
to have that a conversation, because we can see you sometimes better than you can see yourself.
mm.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. But I'm saying, yeah, I agree. The only thing that pops to my mind is sometimes it is because you're talking about boundaries. When you've been in situations that you've been uh, harassed or abused, then people will say, "Well, I see this, and how are you?" Like, no, 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 no. But what you're describing is so different, because you're actually saying, "Well, I see this. If you want to talk about it." I'm here. If not, then I won't insist on that. But at least, that person gets, uh, oh, okay, well, I don't see it, but she notices something. But you're giving her the choice, or him the choice. And you're not.
That's that's the difference in the conversation, the way you show up. It have a impact on that, because they say for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and understanding that coming across that way is non-threatening, then a person may have a tendency to be more open with you as a result of that.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's just, it's, it's so complex. And Elia saying, great talk. First time for me to make a Substack account. I am so impressed with people who are just sometimes showing up, and I'm like, wait, how did you end up finding us? Like it's mysterious, that algorithm, because it's like, I don't know. And I'm happy, but it's just, it's because we do have subscribers and they'll get the notification. But what if you're just scrolling Substack, at one point you see, hey, that person is live? Like, is that just a suggestion? And sorry, I'm like changing the topic, but it's like, I've never, being curious and wanting to find out is something that's important when you connect to the world, right?
It is, and you have a willingness to be open to listen to other people's perspective. That's how
Mm,
we learn and grow, and that's one of the things I love about Substack too.
yeah. Oh yeah. And it's great because we see also people, you know, through a period of time. Like, Margaret, I think we connected sort of like, DM'd or exchanged on notes, and that was like almost a year ago, right? Like, it was, or in the spring. It was in the spring, I remember. So yeah. And I remember that back then, I think you had mentioned something like, I think you were observing Substack, right? Is that possible? Because you were not, as you weren't doing lives right at the beginning, if I
No, I
remember
wasn't.
correctly. That's
Right.
it.
I was really observing because I was afraid to write the hero post. So I wasn't doing, I was watching other people, uh people that I admire, you being one, Veronica and other people that I know. Yeah, yeah, because you're just so bubbly. You're the same all the time. And regardless of when I see you or when I talk to you, and I just feel a connection to you.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't know why, and I don't question it. I trust the process.
And
It's like,
Margaret, that's so
okay,
kind. But uh, although make an observation is that when we are going on lives, we do have still in the back of our mind, like we know that we're being watched, and we're going to be recorded, and we can post it later, so then it becomes public. So of course, when we are in a position of being public, we also have consciously a way of presenting yourself. But it's hard because, I mean, I'm not always bubbly, and like, it's like right now it's like I'm excited, I'm talking to you, I'm enjoying the process, I trust it. But there are days, I mean, remember last week I had to cancel because I was suffering from a flare and fibromyalgia. And believe me, I wouldn't have been bubbly like this. So it's important to set or recognize her limits. So, but yeah, I think, and it's normal. I wouldn't want to spend, if I'm going to go and share positivity, I will have moments, I guess, where I'll be uh open, and I mean, admit like, sadness, or irritability, but I find that right now in the public space, it is becoming more socially accepted to be angry and to look angry, and I don't necessarily think it's good. because anger, uh, righteous anger is okay. But if it becomes like you're just screaming and you end up, and it's just that's what you're doing and you're doing it for show, like I don't know, I'm just, we have to follow how things are changing in the course of history. And if you look back at in the 20s when they were listening to the radio, not everyone had access to being able to broadcast on a radio. And think of like the way we were raised with media. Now it is so immediate. Like you're not putting on a you don't have a studio. I mean, I'm in my house. I mean, and when you're preparing for a radio show and you have objectives, I think of the uh, remember when they did that? Well, I haven't watched it, but I remember. I'm saying watch. Of course, it's a radio show. But remember when A.G. Orwell's story, War of the Worlds, was read on the radio, and then people ended up thinking that there was a real attack, like of aliens invading the Earth, like because it was so new. And and I mean, just look at that. And that was it was so well staged back then that anyways, if you guys don't know about it, just uh read Google radio show War of the Worlds. And there was a real like reaction. And but that was unexpected, and now we are here. And what was I saying? I guess my point was more like, you know they didn't expect that, but it wasn't certainly their intention, to cause like mass hysteria. you know? So um so of course I will try to not, scream into the way I like. If I'm gonna be here every day saying I'm so pissed off, but not contribute to something positive, then I don't know. I wouldn't feel good about myself. But again, people are so different, right? Like
They are.
we
They
were
are. But it's complicated because some people, they make their fame off of rants. Okay, I remember the what was that magazine? They was talking all this crap, the Esquire or whatever. They talk all this stuff, and you figure some of that stuff is hoax. And people love that. Some people love that. Some people love mystery. You know, and so I don't know. And so what you're talking about maybe is similar to emotional dumping. And so for a person that's living alone, that don't have anybody to talk um, to come and talk about what you're feeling, what you're sensing, uh, it could sometimes be a difference between life and death. So that's something that I really would prefer not to go on, because the thing when I lost my $130,000 job, when I had to walk away from that job, I lost everything, and I didn't have nobody to talk to.
Oh
And
my God.
Substack was the saving grace. It saved my life. So if I didn't have that to come and talk about it, I can't say that I would still be here today. So I really can't. I really can't comment on that, because I have my own crosses to bear, and I just try to be tolerant of other people, because you never know. Because it was me yesterday, it could be someone else tomorrow. So
Mm,
I just want to be there to hold safe space. I don't have to carry anybody else's baggage, but to safe space to hear what they have to say and let them know that they're not alone. That's
mm,
where I'm at today. Okay?
mm.
That's where I'm at today.
And you've been I mean you've been connecting with, I'm saying seeing a view of us, but some people are new, some people we've been are hanging around. I see, Brandon, I think Michelle as well. I mean, but we kind of like we're getting to know each other. And I know that when we say hey, I'm going to be on Margaret, or could you like, do you know what it's like? People are like, oh my God, Margaret, she's so great. Like just the fact that you're sharing, um, and being so open about yourself here. It's, I don't know. I admire that. And I just, yeah. So, and I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad. Like for me, it's, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I'm just, I'm really touched by the fact that we're able to create those connections, even if they're through a, I'm saying it's not even a wire anymore. It's a signal. It's a signal. So, but people are real. I mean, you're real. Of
You
course,
are
it's
too.
not the same as I'm having you in my life. I work with you every day. You know, you end up knowing them over time, and you end up learning who you can trust. But it's the same as going into the grocery store. Maybe you'll end up talking to the old man who's like so nice at the bus stop, and you'll end up knowing him. But then it could be just somebody who's got a lot of problems too. So I mean, I find that it's also representative of the real world. And yeah.
You're right, because I have been such a closed-minded person. But when I moved to this neighborhood November 24, and I waited a couple years before I even talked to my neighbors, and then they started talking to me, and like the neighbor
Wait,
next
did you
door,
say
the
a
guy.
couple of years?
Well, a year. Let's say a year and
Okay,
a
okay,
year.
because I was like,
Okay.
it's 2020, 24, and now
And
25, that's a year. So yeah, okay.
yeah, because I keep my circle small because I don't know who I can trust. Okay, so
That's
I
okay.
eventually, yeah, right. So I eventually left. I met the couple next door, and they're beautiful people. They're in their 90s. Okay, and
Oh,
her husband passed away early in the year. Okay, and I used to see him sitting in that chair, and we used to have these conversations sometime. And I look over there sometime, and I see that chair, and I miss him.
oh,
And then yeah, and the guy across the street, his name was Wayne. I used to say, "Hey, Wayne's World." I see him going out in this truck, and I found out maybe 3 weeks ago that he passed away in February, and he's been cremated. And so I'm like, "Oh my God." So you think about these connections you make, and you really don't think about. They say you don't. My mother used to say you don't miss a good thing till it's gone. Okay, and then
mhm,
once it's gone, then you be like, oh my God, I am so glad that I got an opportunity to conversate with that person, to be in their sphere, because it made my life richer because of that connection. I don't care how long it is. Sometimes you meet a person for one day and that experience lasts your whole life. It changes your whole life. You just never know when you meet someone what can come of that relationship, because sometimes you might see a bag lady. You think she's a bag lady. Come to find out, she might be a billionaire. You
mhm,
have people out there
mhm,
like that. So never underestimate the power of a connection.
mhm, mhm.
And I learned that in
Absolutely.
life.
Uh, that's there's so many things I want to say with what you just said, but it really touched me that you talked about how you would look at this chair, and now you kind of you remember the good sides and the joy that he brought to you. um I think, I don't know what you think, but as we're getting older too, we have so much more to look back to, and we're like, uh we realize that the time that we have left is precious. So I don't know. Maybe some people will just bury their head into the sand, and they'll not be as sensitive. But I'm very sensitive, kind of like you. Like, and Michelle says I love random conversations with people, and it's true. It's so it's always a surprise. You might end up like just yeah. So, anyways, I just got I was really touched because sometimes I see elderly people, and depending on how I'm feeling that day, we're talking about emotional regulation. I'll end up like wanting to cry because I'm like, oh my god, look at them, they're so beautiful, they're there. No, no, no. I mean, the little man is like with his cane, and like it's like, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know. There's a sense of gratitude for being able to witness this. So yeah.
Moments like that just makes life worth living, because if you look at that old lady, that could be you 20 years from now. Okay, and how would you want to be treated? And
Yeah.
how would you want people to show up for you? These are things I think about, because what we put out in the world, the laws of attraction, that's what we get back. Okay.
Oh, I agree with that. And as an aside, I am so looking forward to the day that Donald Trump will get back what he deserves because he attracts destruction. Okay. And I don't want to entertain hate, but I have hated this guy since it's been 10 years, and he is destroying the world. Like, and for me, I don't, I would never say like to someone to just go and hurt him, but I am so looking forward that his body will fail him and that he will be out of, you know, he won't be able to hurt anyone because of his whatever. You can't treat people that way as if there were transactions and business transactions. That's all that he does. And I believe that depending on who you are and if you're able to, I mean, for me, it's a choice. Like, I want to, and I said that being Joe, I love what you said, being responsible for the message sent out and communicated. I respect and appreciate that because it's, and people like that, it's like, oh, it's when it's good, it's all my responsibility, it's because of me, and when it's bad, it's always other people's fault. Like, this is not acceptable. I refuse that. Like, and you know on the days that I'm fine, I will go out there and I will scream. Look at me now, I'm not screaming, but i
Go
will want to
ahead.
say I will want to say, you are responsible for your actions. If you punch someone in the face because you couldn't control yourself, and then you end up, being arrested, that is your problem. It's not the policeman's problem. You did that. You were not able to control your impulses. So it's the same. If I feel happy and I want to give somebody $20 because, I see them and I feel like I'm grateful for the life that I have, and I end up giving it to them. And then they look at me and they're like, wow, I'm gonna go buy lunch, because that happened to me once. And I think I cried, like, but not in front of him, but it was like, yeah, I mean, we just, I find that we need this conversation because we need to make people aware. And it has a purpose, what you're saying, to the laws of attractions, attract or be the, I love that was it Gandhi that said, be the change you want to see in the world. Like, that was my first sentence that I wrote on Substack, I think. Like, in my first, like, okay, what am I doing here, like, okay, well, um I don't want to, I mean, I'm in a position that I'm lucky enough that I don't have to go work. uh like, I mean, I'm an at home mom, like, I stay at home, but I do want to contribute somehow, and yeah, okay, there you go. That's not a rant, but that's bloop, 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 bloop. I'm doing the
You
weave, right?
we have free will. You can say what you want to say. It's your party, and I'll cry if I want to. Remember that song? So, and we need to give ourselves permission to do so.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say you are doing good in the world. Look at the platforms. Look at your platform. Look at sick of the shit publication. You guys are doing amazing things in this world. Okay. And you are making a difference. You are using your gifts, your skills, and your expertise, your psychology to change your life and change the people that come into your sphere. So I want you to remember that.
Oh, thank you, Margaret. But I have to say, uh, I was pretty persistent, like, and he was so open because Sick of This Shit publication is really all Nick Perrow's, I would say baby, but it is his business, because it is also a business, when you start, you know, um, making a platform like that. So, And in my case, first I started collaborating with him just by just talking to each other, and I was like, okay, well, it was kind of like a growing process. Like, okay, what are you doing on Substack? We had like, and I mean, yeah, I hope his ears are ringing, but I do hope to continue. I'm very grateful to collaborate with him on Sick of This Shit publication because he's doing amazing work. I mean, he's just, yeah. And yeah, so I just yeah, but we're all working hard to make it, to make sure that our message gets out there. And I mean, right now, just the fact that, it is a working day, it is, of course, we're not in the same time zones, but we have 24 people with us either watching or listening. I mean, you know it, it's sometimes when you're competitive, you're like thinking of numbers, and I'm like, okay, why is this person, but they've got traction, like if we listen to people, we people who've already had a voice and who've been in other medias, it's kind of easier to jump onto this platform and have a following, right? But I feel like we're all starting here. Like, I mean, it's not as if we had a I'm not coming on here to, like promote what I did in the past. I'm kind of building something. So, and so are you. I mean, so is he. And yeah, but
So it's
yeah,
Steph. So it's Stephanie. So it's Beth, and you all work so well together. And I love you guys. And and you're showing, the present people and future. You created this blueprint of what is possible.
mm,
Okay,
mm,
and that's amazing that the work that you all are doing, that we're all doing in the world to make that difference. It all starts with each and every one of us.
mm.
Now, your publication, what specifically are you focused on? What's the name
Well,
and you focus on?
what do you mean by, because Sick of This Shit publication is really Nick Perrow's, I could say, baby,
Right,
but I
right.
collaborate with him because I associate, meaning like for example, the chronically illing out really was his idea, and then by being uh, involved, and eventually, and I was like, I had a story also. People who know me a few months back, I was on lives with a person, didn't work out. So, but she was focused more on politics, and I was really like trying to just, I don't know, do something different, but not just talk about politics, and now I'm realizing, no, I just want to be this bubbly person because it's good for me, I want to promote happiness. So we thought of an idea of Time for Life. Beth found a name, and this is when we are doing our podcast, which we have every Wednesday at 1 Eastern, where we discuss what brings people joy. And I find that a lot of people will send out publication, was I really like, like there is one called The Planet by Alexander Verbeck, and it's very positive, but I don't think I've ever seen him on the live. So I'm like, okay, what is there? There's definitely a need, I find, because we do get people coming in, and just when I'm saying people, like viewers, I haven't. I mean, we've always had over 100 people like in those Time for Life. So I'm like, wow. So it's going well. I think tomorrow is our episode 12. So slowly but surely. Yeah.
I loved it. One time I know you guys were talking about wine, okay? And another time you guys were talking about photography,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
changes every single episode according to the people that we receive, because we're asking them, like, okay, what do you like, so at one point we didn't have guests, so Beth and I, like, okay, we both like wine, okay, let's go. So she found the name. It was like Tour de Grape or something. Like, it was so funny. So we just want to, yeah, I find that then it becomes lighter. It's also good to be entertained, and
It
so is it
is.
under culture? Is it under, I don't know. It's also well-being, right? Because I mean, and I remember when we've had you, we talked about inner peace and peace. So, oh yes, Brandon, thank you for saying Beth and Brandon. because Brandon was also a guest, and they made Oreo truffles, and
Oh yeah.
they had over 500 people. I was in the chat. I couldn't make Oreo truffles because I was on vacation, but I was so glad. Thank you, Brendan. You did an amazing job. It was like, whoa. And is it next week already that we're dyeing eggs or something? 'Cause- so I have to. I think it's next week. Yeah, is it April? I know it's April 1st. So I'm looking forward to do that. So yeah, every single episode is different. So uh,
And you
and
forgot you want to talk about you got this karaoke coming on because you do your little jukebox in the mornings, which I love.
yeah, the jukebox. Okay, that's yeah. Okay, well we'll see. It's is one thing is I find that I've told my daughter this. Don't, and that's what I've realized. Like when I was a student, all my goal was like, okay, I'm going to be a psychologist. I'm going to be a psychologist. I'm going to be able to, like have a career. And then, what you said about having a career of so many years, and then realizing like sometimes you might have a goal, you might realize it, but it might not work out. So there are other ways to find out. You know, we can't put ourselves in a box. But it's hard. We have to go through the grieving process, right? Because when you go like 7 years at university and then you sort of like send back your license, it's hard. But I mean, right now, why am I using this example? I'm using this example to say is that, it feels like I'm also building something. I don't necessarily know what the end goal is, but now we had time for life, and now it's going to be time for karaoke, which is going to be also next week. um, and you're going to be a participant. So
I don't know how I let you talk me into that, but okay. How many participants are you going to have participating in that karaoke?
okay, well, so um, we are. Fiona Bridges is going to be the co-host, meaning, well, I don't know. Today it feels like we say this is my co-host, but we all share, the time on the platform, so that's okay. She sings beautifully. She's in Alabama, so that's exciting.
Oh, Sweet Home Alabama was one of my favorite songs, girl. Ooh, Sweet Home
Yeah,
Alabama.
and she has also, well, I guess they're certainly Substack friends, or anyways collaborators, and his name is Mac, and there's also, is it Elijah? Okay, well, and I really apologize if they see this live. Like, okay, I don't remember, but yeah. So, but I've seen them sing in karaoke, and it was great. So I figure out five of us, about an hour. If a song takes 5 minutes, two songs each, two times five, 10. Five of, anyways, it would be about an hour if we can end up doing two songs each or something. But we'll play it by ear. This is just like, it's for fun. So yeah. But Easter egg hunt. That's fun. That's fun. So yeah, haven't done those in a while, but uh it's important to bring joy. Yeah. To take actions to, because sometimes it's, you end up being happier because you don't necessarily feel happy, but it's through action. You're doing those things that make you feel happier afterwards, because it is an emotion. So it's not something you can just say, okay, I'll feel happy now, but it has to be triggered by something, right? So
Let me ask you this because I had this jazz musician Quinn Belize with me last week, and I know there's other musicians here on Substack because I talked to this David Levine and this AJ guy, and they're collaborating together and doing live performances. Okay, and
wow.
yeah, what did I say his name was? Anyway, he plays the piano and AJ plays the guitar. It's like why a lot of people are musically inclined. So why we can't get people together and have these jam sessions? You
Oh
know,
my
remember
God.
they made it We Are the World. You know, you get together. I remember as a kid, they had these a cappella groups that were singing. There are so
Oh,
many. Okay, you can combine the music and the art. We can also create a skit or a play. We are not limited. We limit ourselves. There's so many things that we can do. We have screenwriters. You know, we have dancers. We can create a lot of things. Think about
yeah.
it.
And that's an amazing platform to do this. I mean, I know you could do it on YouTube or, like whatever, but I mean, so far I like this media. It's working out well. And yeah, you're right. I mean, but do they do it regularly? The music performances? Like, do they actually?
I think they do because I told Quinn, I was like, why don't you reach out to these two guys and maybe you can do a collaboration with them. And if guys do really well, you can record a song and you guys can, get a hit. Okay. You're on here. Why not?
Uh-huh.
Why not?
Uh,
Right?
it all starts with an idea. So that's how Time for Life started, really. So, uh,
Right? we
yeah.
can we can make a screenplay. We can make a something. It's so much that we can create. Each of us individually are always thinking of ideas that we can do for our business, but we could just take it a step further and go even further, you know.
Mm, mm. But it's not easy when we're discussing business. I mean, I couldn't remain a psychologist because it was against my principle to ask money for helping someone. Would you believe that? I wanted to be in the public sector. It was so difficult. I busted my butt off to be in the public sector for 7, 8 years. Then life happened and I had a lot of, difficulties, and I just said, fuck it. I'm like,
Flat out.
I
Flat
just
out.
couldn't. For me, I didn't want to deal with, and now I know because of CPTSD, but, I didn't want to heal with the emotional. Psychotherapy is an emotional process. You're using your reason, your intelligence, your skills, everything you are to help someone. That's the ultimate goal. And I just couldn't start a business because that's what you are, when you're a private health care provider. It is becoming into a business. I just wanted to have like a boss and an organization that hired me to do that. So then it didn't feel like, I had to deal with that emotionally, whatever, like of taking money for people, as I'm actually just doing what I could do with. I know you don't do therapy with friends or family because that is not ethical, and plus because of you have a personal relationship, all of this I know. But when it becomes something that's transactional, I had a hard time with that. Like, there was no way. So yeah, so I just said, okay, is it me? Am I too sensitive? No, it's okay. I don't want to do it. I think we should all. I mean, in Canada, believe me, we pay a lot of taxes, but we do have that money to, have healthcare. And you don't have, and it, for me, it is so important. I mean, that we help each other. And the way that things are in the States or other, I find it disgusting that health is not like a basic, healthcare, or anyways, the right to have care is not like a basic human civil right. Like, as
Need.
a society,
Right.
I think we are more, should I say, it is evolution. You don't just end up like what's happening right now in Iran and the rest of the world, where you're just not. Anyway, sorry, I'm having a hard time, but I know that I'm so happy. And I was lucky. I was born in Canada, where social values are important. We take care of people. Of course, it was very difficult, but at least, they were psychologists in school, and in healthcare organization related to hospital, and none of that is private. But there is a parallel system that's also working, which is the private system, where, but at least, there's a lot of, I think in general, if you ask people, like, they'll say, no, for us, here, it doesn't make sense. People are pissed off because they're like, okay, well, there's too much, the waiting list is too long. And, I'd rather end up paying like $300 for a consultation. But yeah, that's a whole other story. But I think that, sometimes we're just born in certain places, and in Canada, where I don't see ourselves as a socialist country, a communist country. No, this is a democracy. People will, speak, and, have common values. And sometimes those, um, common values might be challenged because the population is changing. But at the same time, if we remain focused on the main objective, which is, let's take care of our people by, at least we're healthy together. Or it's not just like, we're not like cowboys in the far west. It's funny because I've been watching the amazing series, 1883, and now I'm on 1923. Whereas, like, everyone's for themselves. It's like, oh, I get a gun, and, like, I have to protect my territory. I mean, for me, that's just, I don't know. That's not in Canada. If you territory is, it's, there's winter, and if you don't help out each other to survive through winter, then you die. It's like, so. So I guess it was very different back then, in the 1800s.
It was. Okay. Yes, but even then, the Indians and regular people had to figure out how to work together to so you could survive the winters, and be able to feed each family.
Yeah,
You
but the
had to be able
Indians
to
were
put.
tribes, so I mean, they did have a sense of community. I mean, they still do. It's just, it was their communities, and it was threatened by the fact that strangers were coming into their land and saying, "Okay, this is our place now."
Yes, I was just looking at that one series that they had on. I forgot what it was with Kevin Costner. There was
Yellowstone.
very. Yeah, Yellowstone. So they had no choice but to work together to figure out how they was going to save that land, okay, for everyone, so everybody could benefit. Okay, so that's the thing. People have to
See,
stop being greedy and work
uh,
together and figure out, okay, how can we work together to save this thing so we can all live in peace and joy together.
but that's
Okay.
amazing because, the series you just mentioned, that is the 1883 and 1993. It's the same family, but it's like back in
Yes.
time. So
Yes.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I love history, so I try to picture an 1883. I guess coming in the prairies would have been different than coming here, where, you'd come by boat, and then you'd end up, well, everybody came by boat, but like, you didn't have to
Like,
travel very far if you were in Quebec, because, there's a river that goes in the land, like, for, all the way to, gosh, to the lakes. So, you could settle like there and just like grow land. I don't know. But it didn't start that way. There were a lot of, um, my grandfather actually, was a, okay, what's the word? In French, there's a word called bûcheron. And a bûcheron is someone who will chop wood, you know? So there was a lot of trees. So you'd have to make sure you'd have tons of woods to prepare for winter, right? Because, I mean, there's no way you could stay here at minus, I don't know what. And then, survive if you didn't have fire going all the time. So yeah, why was
Yeah,
I
that's
saying this?
amazing. That's amazing because it reminds me of Christopher Columbus during
Yeah.
his exploration days, right? The pilgrims and how they came and trying to turn all of the villages or whatever, all the towns into Christianity.
Mhm.
Okay, using that to to basically to control, manipulate, and control. But that's a whole nother topic in
Mhm.
itself. So yeah, coming together, we can create so many things in the world, innovative things. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I feel so grateful that we're sharing this space because we can all learn from each other and help out each other. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure, because let's say you were on your own, um, in a place that's very difficult to survive in. um, and right, am I thinking, because we're both living up north, right? So people couldn't have stayed. I mean, it's just, but you know what I'm saying, it's up north, but it's also, I guess, different. It's all about, yeah, sharing resources. Like, will you end up sharing resources, or just like crushing people down to just make sure you have all the resources? I mean, in the end, is it just about morality, being a good person? And for me, and I find that uh, I find that we need to be above the level of you know predator and victim, like, kind of like the animal. Oh, but it's nature. Yeah, but nature, we can change nature, right? I mean, it's not just that. So
What There's nature and then there's nurture.
mhm,
Okay.
absolutely. And I find that, unfortunately, right now, okay, what we're seeing is that there's not enough nurture. Feral nature, where you have predators, is winning the social media war. And I will not let them do that. I'm saying them, but fuck them. We will lead by example of nurture. And this is what we're doing, I find here. I'm not going in my community, in my small village, but I do feel like I'm doing it on a wider scale, because this is the world. This is the earth. This is like, just, it's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like I'm going in my, and I have nothing against, I think it's important that you have community services. Like, there's the community building, there'll be like a place where you can leave food. It's so important, but it's okay to go according to what you prefer. Like, I like to be here. It allows me to stay at home. When I need to rest, I can rest because of fibro. But at the same time, I feel like I'm doing something that matters, because is it a influencer? Is it whatever? I mean, right now I'm happy that there's still 26 people listening, so I'm like, okay, well, if we can inspire each other to do things that are positive and then change that world and not let the predators win, then we are making a difference that we don't necessarily know. So
You
yeah, that's
are.
it.
You you are. I want you to know you are making a difference. And each and every person here is making a difference, okay? And
Mm-mm,
remember that. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, what can I potentially do better? Okay?
mm-hmm.
Boom. Always trying to figure out how I can raise the bar. Okay.
uh But Margaret, you are almost every day on Substack. Like, I always get the notification, like, Margaret is going live, or I don't know. It's like, I wish I could listen to every single one of them, but it's like we're all also doing lives, right? So, but as long
It
as we
is
keep track.
right because one day I might be sitting on my deathbed and then I can look at the thing and say, okay, she did 230 lives or whatever. That's evergreen material that I can say, hey, I can feel proud. You know, we're writing our legacy every day. So when I'm sitting on my deathbed, I can say I did everything that I wanted to do
Hmm.
while I still had, blood in my veins, while I still had my mental capacities, and I feel good. So when I cross the other side, I can feel good about what I did, because I don't give a damn what people say about me. It's about what I did, what I know I did. Okay?
Hmm.
And I can feel good about that. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's
it
what it's
is
all about.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as we're getting older, we are looking ahead and we're like, I mean, look at Trump right now. He's putting his name on all buildings and stuff. And he's like, he's got this obsession. I mean, you know, you might not be able to measure what you do at the end of your life by having numbers or something concrete like a name of your wall. But what if you have touched people in ways that, you know, it's not necessarily, you don't have immediate feedback that you did, but if you know because you've done it and you experience, and then you'll think back if you're on your bed not able to move or whatever, and you'll be like, well, I have made those memories that I know that I did, and it was okay, it was good. So it's still important. I mean, I know that I'm fighting, I don't want to say every day, but I am trying to, yeah, think. I don't want to be nostalgic, but I do think of the day that I'll be, old, and I'll be looking at my pictures, and I'll be like, wow, I've led an amazing life. Hard, crazy, uh, surreal, but also amazing. It can be both.
Yes, at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Because if we
Mhm.
look back at the heroes, our heroes in history, look at Rosa Parks, look at Eleanor Roosevelt, look at JFK, look at Theodore Roosevelt, look at the heroes from past, okay? And if it wasn't for them, pioneers, a lot of us wouldn't even be here today and have the rights that we still have currently and hold dear. So what can we do to use our power, our skills, our expertise to they pass the baton to us. Now, do we pass the baton to the young, or do you still have some fuel in the tank? Okay?
Yeah. And
Right?
like just right now, like, look, Joe is saying sometimes the world circumstances are hostile, and knowing that I'm not the only one feeling confused and harmed by that is priceless. So the fact that we're taking the time and the space to recognize this, and I mean, if I have on my head at 85, hopefully I'm still here, and I'll remember, hey, somebody wrote that one day and I made a difference. And I was like, wow, I did. Anyways, it's not just what is it? I did. It's also, I, you have to end up being proud of who you are and what you do and what you think of yourself. And that's the hardest thing with CPTSD, is having that, regaining and building that sense of self-esteem that is, stable, that doesn't change according to your mood because your nervous system is going nuts because you're hyper vigilant, or so. It's a lifelong process. But thank you, Margaret. I mean, I'm so grateful that you had me on today to discuss these things.
Thank you so much for coming. And I'm glad that you're feeling better. And this was a powerful conversation. I'm not sure if there's any questions here. I don't see any questions. Um,
So far, people have been, there were a few comments before, but they've been listening, which is, thank you. I have 5 more minutes. It's just I'm gonna have to get going because I have to go get my daughter at school.
well, we don't. We want to give you plenty time so you won't have no problems. Okay, and we want you
Oh,
to
it
get there
won't. I'm
safely
early.
and with peace.
It's
Okay,
it's all
good.
planned. I have 5 more minutes, unless you have to go right now. So
If anybody has any questions for Soso, please feel free.
Or Margaret.
What's that? Oh, okay. Well,
Or
okay.
for you as well.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Questions, comments, hit slap in the face. No, I'm just that's a joke, by the way. Somebody would say that to me, like, okay, do you have questions, comments, or slap in the face? Like, what?
Well, I used to love the Little Rascals and the Bowery Boys. They used to play around and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, satire, all those kind of things. You know, you bringing laughter into people's home and joy in people's hearts. That's what it's about. We need to figure out how to do more of that.
Oh, absolutely, which is what we'll do when we do karaoke. We're gonna just go crazy. But
I'm really, I'm really surprised that Brandon didn't volunteer.
well, I had Brendan singing, okay? For before Christmas, we did I tried to have him sing a rigodon, which is a reel, or anyway, something in that French Canadians do in history. So, and it was a French one, and he was so good because he was game, and I was trying to get him to sing in French. So, I think it was a little. No, he was a little bit uncomfortable, but he was a great player, and he did it. So, so I don't know about karaoke, but I do know he is a piano player. So,
Oh, really? Okay. There it
yeah.
is. You know what? That's how we learn and grow is by doing things that make us feel uncomfortable. Okay? Because if we stay in our comfort zone, we stay down here. We don't grow. So if it's something make you feel uncomfortable, that's what you should do more of. Okay?
Hmm. Oh, that's a good question from Joe. Have you had family who are oral storytellers, oral family history? That's good.
Yes. I would say many of the grandmothers, grandfathers, great grandmothers, great grandfathers, they set the kids around the campfire and telling all these stories and things like that. And that's the things that how we connected to our identity and who we are. You know, our national, our culture,
Mhm.
and that's the reason why when I was in Israel, that's why they keep all the older people in the house because they help raise the children because think we have to work, we have all these responsibilities, who's giving those stories to the kids and telling them all these things and so they can connect with the culture and who they are and with nature and
Mhm.
all these things. Instead, us in the United States, we take all the old and take them and put them in assisted living and all these other places where they just sit there and their mind just they just and a lot of times the parents don't even they don't even visit them. Okay, you
Mhm.
done got everything from your mother and father and then you go put them in a home or something. Those kids don't even know who they are. It's sad.
Yeah. But I hear you, Margaret. And in my case, it's been the same. Like I have had my grandmother, my uncles, like I guess there are sad the family that it's harder because of more difficult circumstances. Like on my dad's side, it was very difficult. Like his father was violent and all that, so that ended up leading to intergenerational trauma. But from my mom's side, like I still remember like the way we would get together and like they would tell a story about my grandfather and the way that like and all the things that they did to just make him angry, and then they were like getting together. And so, but yeah, and I agree with you, but it's just, I guess it's harder and people might end up putting people in, you know if you I think of my father and the way he was. I wouldn't have wanted to have him in my house. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
hear you. I hear you. Mine neither. That's very unfortunate, but it
yeah.
is what it is.
But it is, and I do agree though that if we are able to have positive role models, it's important for identity. Like I do uh hope to have my mother live with me. So, but that's because she we have a good relationship. So yeah, so it really depends. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
case by case basis.
Yeah, but it's true that they will tell. I mean, and then sometimes you find out afterwards. My daughter will be like, "Oh, my mamie is like it's a like grandmother's nickname in French, so mamie. So she says like, "Oh, mamie told me a story," and it's like, "Oh, was it really like that?" And da da da. So it's fun, because you get a sense of continuity. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
good
she'll
question,
tell.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, because she'll tell your daughter stories about you that you never told her, and she's like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that about my mother. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, so she'll see that you two are really not that different. Okay.
Yeah. 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 So and I think of the to preserving also. I don't want to say just culture, but part of the culture, like French Canadians, a lot of our family was working the land and, like either farmers or taking care of, the woods, like chopping woods or, I think of so yeah, it also shows you how things change and you have a choice depending on how things are now. Like we come from the region. The region is more like rural areas, where and now I've moved. When I was 17, I moved to Quebec City, which is, now, it's pretty, now it's getting more and more populated. Like I think there's like almost 1 million people just in the greater city area. But I've chosen that now I've moved further away from the city to be more like in the woods where I can breathe and where I can enjoy
Have
nature.
more peace. Have more peace.
Yeah, it's Quebec City, Natasha. Yeah. So, and I'm sure you must enjoy nature knowing where you are.
Yes, I like the city because of the culture, being able to go and get, the smells and of the food, the art and the local scene. Okay. But as far as living, I like living in Alaska because it has more land than people. And so just being in nature is so peaceful. But then you have the deer, the bear, and the moose. So everything, you wait up and you figure out what brings you the what
Let's see.
brings you the most. Thank you. What brings you the most joy? So where I'm at right now, I'm living in a 5 bedroom house because I had to come back to the States from Israel, okay, to figure out where I wanted to get my high three to retire. I wanted to retire this July. I would have had 40 years of service, but I had to walk away from that toxic job, and that's the best thing I ever did. But now I want to move out of the city and I want to move overseas and be near the water. That's what I'm going to
Overseas?
have.
Where?
Yes, it don't matter because I can live. Think about, I can live cheaper overseas than I can in Alaska. I moved to Alaska. They said we have the PFD. Okay, when I moved here in 24, it was $3,200. You could get a year just for being in Alaska for 6 months and 1 day.
Yeah.
So last year it went down to $1,000. Okay. So I was like, damn, from 3,200 to $1,000. What the hell? What happened? So I don't know what kind of politics happened. They overpaid or whatever. It didn't matter, but it's beautiful here all year round. But I want to be by the water. Okay. I want to be by the water somewhere overseas. It don't matter where. Okay. As long as they have good health care. Okay. And I can still get my money. I don't care where it is. A 2 3 bedroom is fine enough.
But that's
That's
okay
it.
because you can if you're retiring but doing also Substack as a sideline because you have paid subscriber or
Yes.
you can do it
Yes.
from everywhere. Like you can be in Europe, you
Anywhere.
can be in Australia, and
Exactly. Exactly. I just want to make sure that I update my passport because I think it expires next year. I want to make sure to do that because yeah, I got the real ID and all that. I don't know what's going to happen politically, so I want to make sure that I have my passport is good to go and I can figure
yeah,
out the rest. Okay?
yes. So
So, I'm
to follow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ah, I
No
gotta go.
doubt.
I think we ended up. Yeah, it's. I really gotta run now. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks,
We'll be in
everyone.
touch.
Yes, we
Thank you
will.
all.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. See
Bye
you
bye.
around. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye bye.